70 years of cover-ups over UFOs are finally coming to an end. While unusual sightings have been reported in the sky throughout history, unidentified flying objects, UFOs, did not achieve their current cultural prominence until the 1950s. This field of study continues to evolve as recent videos from the US Navy and other military organizations have been publicly released and are now using the term unidentified aerial phenomena UAP in the United States. Gary Hazeltine is the Vice President of the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research, ICER for short, ICER. He's a former British police detective who retired after 24 years to create UFO Truth magazine. It's a bi-monthly online e-zine. The policy of denial and debunking evidence of encounters with alien spacecraft, quote-unquote, that's been in place since the 1950s is crumbling. Even ex-US presidents and CIA directors admit there's something out there that we cannot explain. It's often said that when mankind acknowledges that life in the universe has been confirmed and an intelligent civilization reaches out to us, that contact will be the most profound moment in human history. So almost everyone is in agreement as to the ramifications of such contact, but have we actually not had an ongoing engagement between humans and super intelligent creatures from other planets for decades? Today, on World UFO Day, as we approach the summer of 2021, he says the world is potentially on the brink of learning something that most people will be astonished and perhaps shocked by. For more than 70 years, highly trained, credible people have found themselves involved in multiple witness reports and having an interaction with some kind of intelligence that is literally out of this world, extraterrestrial that is. These cases from all around the world have been fully investigated and documented and have largely been ignored by governments, military, and scientists in the academic world. And why is that? The explanation is simple and stark. Governments across the planet, supported by the mainstream media, have poured scorn on and trivialized the subject of unidentified flying objects or flying saucers since the early 1950s. As the late Stanton Friedman, nuclear physicist and huge UFO proponent, used to say, "It can't be, so it isn't." That phrase is particularly apt if we ask the question as to why the scientific and academic worlds have largely ignored the mass of corroborated testimony from military pilots, commercial pilots, astronauts, cosmonauts, radar operators, air traffic controllers, sonar operators, military personnel, and police officers, etc. In recent years, a new acronym has been created to replace the term UFO, and that is UAP, meaning unidentified aerial phenomena, in the hope that science, academia, and the media would be more open to investigating the subject. However, such is a manufactured stigma attached to this topic that it is still deemed too taboo for most. Given the way the subject has been trivialized and dismissed for so many years, it is not surprising that most scientists and academics do not take the UFO-UAP phenomena seriously. After all, for most of their lives, they've been told that there is no evidence to support the premise that some of these reports are credible and cannot be explained and may be of extraterrestrial or non-human origin. However, almost all of them do not realize that they, and hundreds of millions of ordinary citizens, have been hoodwinked by a huge propaganda machine that was artificially and deliberately created by the United States. In January 1953, a group of scientists met for 2 days to figure out a way to strip the aura of flying saucers that the public had for the subject. They decided the best way to do this was to begin a debunking program. Flying saucers were to be dismissed, trivialized, and scorned by the deliberate use of the media in all its form, hence television, film, newspapers, books, and magazines. The group responsible for this policy is known as the Robertson Panel, which took its name from that of its chairman, Harold Percival Robertson. It was a policy that effectively created the terrible stigma and ridicule that has plagued this topic for decades and yet most people are totally unaware of how it began. Most astronomers won't even consider looking at the mountain of UFO-UAP evidence, while those that do express a willingness to get involved in genuine research have been prevented from doing so because of the perceived risk of ridicule and the effect on their careers. This fear has persisted for decades and has been a powerful deterrent for those that dare to take the phenomenon seriously. The message was clear to scientists and academics: stay away from UFO-UAP research or risk ruining your career. That was the message. Yet there have been significant developments on this subject in recent weeks and months that seem to be signaling the end to this long-standing policy of deceit and denial. A little while ago, the U.S. Navy Task Force submitted a 9-page preliminary assessment report to Congress regarding U.S. Navy encounters with UAPs off the east and west coasts of America that have taken place in recent years. It cited 144 cases recorded by the U.S. military since 2004 and stated that 143 remained unexplained. Given the huge technological resource that the U.S. has, it's a staggering statistic. How could 143 military personnel using the most sophisticated equipment in the world fail to identify the mysterious objects that they witnessed? We've also seen people at the highest level of government and military change their tune and speak out about the phenomenon, in complete contrast to what leaders have said on the matter before. Senator Marco Rubio said in a TV interview last year, "We have things flying around military bases and places where we're conducting military exercises, and we don't know what it is and if it's ours." So that's a legitimate question to ask. And I'd say, frankly, if it's something outside this planet, it would actually be better than the fact that we've seen some technology leap on behalf of the Russians, the Chinese, or some other adversary. The bottom line is, he says, if there are things flying over military bases and you don't know what they are, that they're not yours, and they exhibit potential technologies that you don't have at your disposal, that to me is a national security risk and one we should be looking into, he said. He added in another interview, dozens of men and women we have entrusted with the defense of our country are telling us about encounters with unidentified aircraft with capabilities we do not fully understand. We cannot allow the stigma of UFOs to keep us from seriously investigating these encounters, he said. And I totally agree with him. Now, former CIA Director John Brennan recently spoke at George Mason University, said, "I think it's a bit presumptuous and arrogant for us to believe that there's no other form of life anywhere in the entire universe. I think some of the phenomena we're going to be seeing continues to be unexplained and might in fact be some type of phenomenon that is the result of something that we don't yet understand, and that could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes a different form of life," end quote. John Ratcliffe, a former director of national intelligence, recently said on Fox News that there were, quote, "things that we are observing that are difficult to explain," and he said there's actually quite a few of those. Sometimes we wonder whether or not our adversaries have technologies that are a little bit further down the road than we thought or than we realized. But there are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of these things that we have been seeing. When we talk about sightings, it's not just a pilot or just a satellite or some intelligence collection. Usually we have multiple sensors that are picking up these things, he said. Another former director of intelligence, national intelligence, James Clapper, told CNN earlier this year, "I don't know why we have not been more transparent about it in the past, and I'm part of that crime, I guess, and my former capacities. I did not insist on more transparency with respect to this issue," he said. In an unexpected development, even former President Barack Obama has talked in specifics for the very first time publicly about UAPs. On the James Corden chat show that aired May, he said, "But what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the sky that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern," he said. The timing of these comments from such high-level individuals indicates that, at last, the very real possibility that we have been witnessing in action around our Earth for decades will be taken seriously by the world's top scientists and will for the first time be investigated properly. It is likely to have profound implications for humanity. It's not as if there is not a lot to investigate. The amount of unexplained contacts with potential visitors to our planet is large and growing. In the second part of the article to be published, I will detail, he says, some of the most astonishing unexplained encounters. And this is on Collective Spark by Myth and Mystery. And we know that in one of the previous videos I posted today, an Antalya, Turkey University offers a course on extraterrestrial and UFO disclosure and how to act when and if those university students encounter extraterrestrials or UFOs. Isn't that strange? So, even universities are now having courses on this. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.